I'm going to answer as many of these questions about touring as a cinematographer and photographer as possible. All right, what inspired you to go on tour with the music artist as a cinematographer and photographer? Well, really, I just want to travel and really just see what it's like shooting in other cities, just getting that experience and just knowing what it's like to collaborate with other creatives from other cities and just really just take it all in, but also knowing how to shoot on the fly. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do, shoot on the fly, guerrilla filmmaking, building up camera setups to really just be able to be on the move, whether it's 20 hours, 40 hours nonstop. I really wanted to get like in that mode of just being able to shoot nonstop and just see what it was like. And I actually ended up shooting for like 75 days straight. So yeah. How did you prepare for capturing moments on tour with the music artist? So being on tour, it's a lot like a wedding every day, or like a non-stop wedding, I would say, because there's always something you have to shoot or want to capture. You don't want to miss anything. So I always kept like a GoPro, some type of camera handy, whether it's a phone. I kept backup battery packs that I would use to really make sure that all my stuff was charged and I had all my storage backed up. Whenever I was going to sleep, I would always organize footage whenever I was about to go to sleep or before I went to sleep, of course. So I would have more storage for the next day, because you never know what you're going to be shooting, when you're going to be shooting, that type of ordeal. So yeah. What challenges did you face while shooting on tour with the music artist? I would say the challenges for me were trying to figure out where I would edit stuff. Like, we were on a bus most of the time, and we had venues, of course, where I could charge and plug in my computer, but you got to get an edit turned around in like the next day, or, edit 25 to 50 photos a day. So I would try to figure out how I could find a power source, whether it's, using a small battery pack to like use my computer for even like 3 or 4 hours until it like crapped out. But I would always try to make sure that I could find a good stable place to edit, because you got, the bus is moving and you got hard drives bouncing around. So when you try to find a good comfortable spot, lock in on that, especially with 12 to 13 other people on the bus, like that can get hard. So yeah, I try to make sure I got that done accordingly. How did you overcome technical difficulties while capturing live performances on tour? So it always helps to have more than one camera, at a time, whether I have the small camera where I'm just taking pictures and video, or my cinema camera, my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K. Knowing the space, also like mapping out the space ahead of time when you're moving through certain spaces and you're trying to figure out what's going to be done, whether it's a special guest coming or the venue has different restrictions. I feel like that was one thing that I had to like get around, because some venues would not let you film, or they charge extra, the artist extra, or the the tour company extra for wanting to film. So I would tend to just try to figure out ahead of time, like, what are the rules and restrictions before going into certain venues, and then just try to shoot something on my phone or a GoPro, something small, just to like really try to get as much footage as I can for that city, even outside the venue when we're not rehearsing and stuff like that. Try to get as much content as possible, but then I would have people from the show send me footage to actually use for the actual overall project. Let's see, can you share a memorable experience or story from your time on tour with the music artist? I would say really it's about meeting certain people, like meeting a lot of people while on tour, music artists that I've listened to over the years, traveling and seeing different things. One of my favorite things I did was, it was really memorable because this is what I do when it comes to just thinking quick. So as we're traveling, we're recording things on the road, we're recording music. We got stuck in Wyoming due to a snowstorm. So we shot a video called Stuck in Wyoming. So, being stuck in Wyoming and just shooting in that climate, it was cold, and just trying to figure out like what type of ordeal would we be able to make out of this moment while we're stuck, just be productive. So creating a music video while being stuck in Wyoming was one of the coolest and like craziest things I feel like was a big part of just making do with what you can while being on tour. So yeah, it was just like one of those like, why not? Let's do a freaking music video right now. So yeah, that was just like in that moment, and I feel like that's what I love to do, like in the moment type stuff. So yeah, like freestyle in Wyoming, the Stuck in Wyoming video, that was a cool video. Let's see. How did you adapt your shooting style to different venues and lighting conditions during the tour? I maintain my style of cinematography because I'm always like on the go, guerrilla filmmaking, and like I'm gonna get as much energy out of the crowd and out of the artist because I know the show. After like 5 or 6, shows, you know what the show is gonna look like. So then you try to figure out the different creative, mediums that you can do when it comes to, creating something or reinventing the wheel almost with what you're already shooting. So you know how the crowd is going to react, what the stage performances are going to be. So just trying to figure out what other angles you can get while in the show. So I would just always look for something new. I'd hand somebody a GoPro, just lock in with somebody, connect with somebody, say, hey, whatever footage you take, send it to me. Like, I want to get different perspectives of people around the venue and like what their experience was. So I would just use a lot of different, mediums where it's like trying to figure out how to, get a different perspective every time. So whether it's putting a GoPro, doing time lapse, and, doing different transitions, I feel like that's fun. But yeah, it's really just about maintaining creativity and always looking for something new every show. What equipment did you find most essential for capturing moments on tour with the music artist? I would say the most creative thing I used while on tour was the GoPro, because I could put this absolutely anywhere, no matter where I was. Like, I can get the room, something following, something moving. Like, it's always one of the most creative cameras you can put once you got a bike mount. You can actually put this anywhere, and I feel like that's one of the coolest things when it comes to just being a creative, having a camera for absolutely everything. Because I have drones, I got cinema cameras, I got a regular small like digital camera, and the GoPro was one I could put anywhere, get time lapses, and it's been through a lot. So I feel like the GoPro was one of the most essential things I used while on tour. How did you manage to maintain creativity and originality in your shots throughout the tour? So just reinventing the wheel of, every city was different. So every city has their own theme in a way of just how things look. Some venues look the same, but like wanting to figure out how the steps move going up to the stage and what the venue looked like from this perspective or up top. So like every show we had a different viewpoint of what we wanted to shoot. So I was just capturing and shooting everything. I was nonstop moving for an hour and a half to 2 hours at a time. And even before the show, I'm measuring of like, how can I get this shot from here? Or are people going to be here? Or, oh, I know down in the mosh pit, people are going to be doing this, stuff like that. So it's really just about like maintaining that thought process of how does somebody want to watch this later on? And that's just what I kept going after. Like, just how can I keep reinventing the wheel of my own creativity? Let's see. How did you collaborate with the music artists and their team to capture their vision through your lens? So pretty much it was understanding what the managers wanted and what the artists wanted, because the artists had a lot of music being made while on tour, and then like the artists managers, they really wanted stuff to push out on like social media. So what I would do is I would creatively create a project where they both could have the same thing, but like it can be sold for, social media, or it can be done for this. So a lot of it just comes down to like being able to please both parties when it comes to being creative. So when you can be creative and you can please all the parties involved, then that's when you're kind of hitting the right demographic, because they know their demographic, the artist knows their demographic, but you have to make everything look as good and just know what the artist wants specifically when it comes to their vision and their brand. So I would just look like, all right, I'm gonna make this look cool. Everybody's gonna love this. and go for it. So yeah, you can't really like stress yourself, but just shoot as much as possible and get as many different angles to incorporate a lot of stuff, and yeah, go about it like that. What techniques did you use to capture the energy and atmosphere of live performances on tour? Techniques were following the crowd. Like if I know that the artist is going to sway back and forth, and the crowd is going to react to certain things, I really want to get the crowd's reaction more than the artist, because I'm gonna be with the artist for 4 or 5 months. I'm gonna get that performance down packed completely. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna film different reactions from different people non-stop. That's a big focus. So I would love to just get crowd reactions. Crowd reactions are the biggest thing, especially being out in front of the venues before it opens, like getting the crowds and the long lines and stuff. So you really want to get the crowd's reactions, and yeah, just hone in on the crowd, to be honest, because those are the people that they want to see themselves, so they want to continue to see the artist and make sure that they're being pleased, while the artist is making sure that their brand is getting bigger by what you're shooting. So yeah, you just got to lock in and really understand what the artist wants, but also be able to follow the energy of every city. Every city is different, every city. So you got to really know how to find the energy when you're shooting within these cities. So yeah. Let's see here. How did you balance capturing spontaneous moments with planned shots during the tour? So like while being on tour, there's going to be thousands of spontaneous moments, because you're in different cities. You got thousands of different people you're interacting with who are interacting with the artist. You never know what's going to happen. So me personally, I'm never going to stop filming at all. Like I'm going to keep the camera rolling no matter what. I went through so much storage, but like understanding that the magical moments are really what's happening in that situation. So for me, it's all about just never stop filming. And so I'm gonna always find a way to capture something, and the planned moments are more so like very rare, because we're just going and going and going, but you want to keep rolling no matter what. And so yeah, you just have to never stop filming. That was my technique, that was my approach. So yeah. So what role did post-production play in enhancing the visuals from the tour? So post-production wasn't much, but you have more time after tour to like look through the footage and do stuff. So whatever comes out after tour, you have more time, more freedom, rather than being on the road and you have more time to sit down with your footage and to not stop, just have that breather really, because you're on the road, you're like constantly moving. So you want to be able to like have that moment to sit down, look through everything you've shot over the past 4 or 5 months, and yeah, just get it done like that. How did your experience on tour with the music artist influence your future projects as a cinematographer and photographer? Well, personally, I know that a lot of people don't know what they want when it comes to filmmaking or like the cinematography standpoint, but every artist has their own way of how they view themselves. So me personally, I listen to people and see what they want to talk about, or listen to what they've seen that they like and how they want to perceive themselves. So when it comes down to like understanding, working with artists and things of that nature, I just see what is their brand, what are they trying to push to the world, what are they trying to show of themselves, and I just listen to that. And so I just have conversations with people before I work with them now. So a lot of it just comes down to just understanding and knowing what your abilities are as a cinematographer, photographer, videographer, whatever, and being able to facilitate that for the artist. Can you share any behind the scenes insights about working with the music artist on tour? So behind the scenes, there was a lot of moving parts, because there's a lot of moving parts to the business side of it and the music side of it and the people you're working with. So as an artist myself, I just have to be understanding that I'm there to capture life. I'm there to make everything look beautiful. So behind the scenes, I'm just there to make sure that the story is being told in like I'm just there to make sure that the story is being told, but also making sure that it's authentic to the artist. So I want to make sure I'm capturing things, and I'm not going to put out things that aren't relative to the branding messages and stuff like that. So what I like to do is just make sure that I run everything by the artist before I put it out, of course, but I also want to make sure that everything is what is needed to be quality wise. And I focus a lot on quality. So it's just about being able to make sure that everybody is good when it comes to how things are seen and stuff like that. So yeah, I would just make sure that everything behind the scenes is, able to be shared of what it is and stuff like that. How did you ensure the privacy and comfort of the music artist while capturing intimate moments on tour? I would always ask, like, yo, you good with me filming this? Can I film this? Making sure what I can film, because, you have to have that relationship with the artist to be able to ask, like, yo, you good with me filming this? And they would say, yeah, no, not right now, or yeah, go ahead, cool. Like, it's all about having transparency in those moments, because you never know what they're not comfortable with showing. So, like, you always want to have that good relationship with them when it comes to showing moments that you really want to have out there, or they want to have out there. So telling a story, you have to have transparency, but also you have to be comfortable with what you're shooting, and the person you're shooting has to be comfortable too. So if they're not comfortable, then everything is out of whack. So always maintain the fact that you can really depend on the relationship, but you want to make sure that you nurture that relationship to make sure that everything is good when it comes to the comfortability and giving them privacy and stuff like that. Always make sure that the client is happy when it comes to that ordeal. What advice would you give to aspiring cinematographers, photographers who want to tour with music artists? I would just say lock in with the artists right now. Lock in with artists who really feel like, they are really meant to do this, because if they're doing shows, the next thing is shows, the next thing is sponsors, then the next thing is traveling. Like, really lock in with either a production company or the artist, and just be around the artist. Help facilitate for the artist's message and branding and image, so that you can be a part of that ecosystem of people that they can call on for wanting to help tell their story. So really just lock in with your friends, anybody close that's in the music business, anybody that even has a show coming up. Reach out to them and talk to them about, hey, I want to help you out with this and do this and this, and see what happens. It may not be any money in the beginning of it, but you always can just help them out and just build up your portfolio to helping people shoot shows and stuff like that. So always be a help to people so that you can help their ecosystem grow, and they'll want to have you around more. So that's how you can get on tour. How did you handle the pressure of capturing key moments and highlights of the tour? So the whole tour was pressure. The whole tour was full of highlights. All I did was maintain my composure and like, yo, I'm here to do this job. I'm here to tell a story. This would be one of the greatest documentaries I've ever done in my entire life. So now I have to be a part of this. And so those moments when somebody said press record, I'm recording already. Like, I'm already rolling. Like, you have to know in your intuition how to really capture a moment, what's the best light to show somebody. So me personally, I'm just gonna make sure that like I'm doing the best I can when it comes to like all the capturing parts. Like, I got a GoPro in one hand on a strap, I got my cinema camera on a strap around me, I got a digital camera on another strap, I got, my phone is being charged, like whatever I need. That was me 24/7 for about 75 days straight. And then we did 2 weeks overseas. So like, I'm maintaining my composure while capturing these big moments. And so it's just about how you're able to like really get it done. Like, you have to be almost like a robot, multiple hands. But those key moments, those are the money moments. Those are the moments you're paid to get. So I was able to get all those shots because I stayed ready no matter what. I could press record within a second's notice. So that was just who I was. That's who I am, still to this day. How did you approach storytelling through your photos, videos on tour with the music artist? So I know the artist is from where I'm from, so I want to make sure that the artist's story is genuine to who they are. So those intimate moments where they're having phone calls with family back home, or they're talking to people that they really care about, I want to make sure those are captured in the most tasteful light possible. So when it comes down to like getting things like those moments, you have to be comfortable with who you're shooting, and they have to be comfortable with you. So I would always make sure that, you know, I'm asking questions like, yo, can I film this? Can I film this? And stuff like that. Like, I always have to make sure that anywhere I'm at, the environment is okay for me to film, first and foremost, but also that the story is able to be told, because getting those moments aren't always easy, but you have to be able to get them at a moment's notice. So I was just able to tell the story by capturing as much as possible, non-stop filming everywhere we are, whether it's a phone, GoPro, cinema camera, or just even a small camera. Like, I wanted to make sure that I could get those moments captured and the artist was comfortable. So, how did the dynamic nature of the music tour impact your shooting schedule and creative process? So as I'm shooting, I'm bookmarking things for content that I want to edit. So I know at the end of the day, like, yo, this clip is going to be good for this clip is going to be good for this. I'm kind of keeping mental track of everything I shoot for what I want to do. And it was more so just like knowing that the moment that I capture, this is going to be good. Like, this is going to be good, what people want to see for the next show. If people are looking to buy a ticket for the next show or show that's coming to their city, they're going to want to see this moment. They're going to want to see this interaction, or whatever happens in the crowd, they want to be a part of that. So I have to be able to help sell that story or that time that they're wanting to have before they buy that ticket. So all of it comes down to like, yes, this is what this person wants to show and push out. So now I have to be the one to capture it and just take those mental notes on the fly as I'm working. So yeah. What were some unexpected opportunities that arose while on the tour with the music artist? So I would say there was a lot of branding things that could have been picked up on tour, like, you know, certain, you know, beverages, just different sponsors. But we did a lot of music videos while on tour, which is really fun because you have all these backdrops of different cities, whether it's overseas, in the States, like anywhere you want to shoot a music video. We had a lot of opportunity to really use these locations, and we did a lot of music videos, like a lot of music videos. So it was just fun being able to, on a moment's notice, I make up some calls and do this, and then be able to secure locations for a music video on the fly. So that was fun to me, being able to do music videos like at a moment's notice like that and just coordinate stuff. So it was just really fun because I met so many people that I can connect with all over the world, and they're just like, yo, we want you to come back to our city because we see how you see the world and we want that for our city. So being able to connect with so many people around the world to really shoot what I wanted to shoot, and now I can go anywhere in the world and shoot with people that I met on tour, and they're just like, all right, cool, we see what you do, we see what you've done, now come do that in our city, our country, or wherever. So yeah, it's pretty fun. How did you capture the essence and personality of the music artist through your lens? So me personally, I want to show real people. I want to show people who they truly are to their fans, like those intimate moments or just those moments where they are personable. So I would just be nonstop rolling while we're traveling, how they are while they're traveling, stuff like that. So it really just came down to like doing things that really mattered, that I felt as a fan of the artist would really matter to show the people. And that's what I really want to show the world. So first and foremost, you have to be okay with the artist saying, no, I don't want to show that or whatever, but telling them and just being able to relay the transparency of the situation to them, like, hey, this is a moment that people want to see, and just kind of be the director in that moment for what's need to be shown. So yeah, that would just be who you are as a director, wanting to show the essence and knowing how to articulate how you want to show that to the world, to that artist, so that they can be comfortable enough with showing it to the world. How did you navigate different cultural and geographical settings while on tour with the music artist? So me personally, I've been all over the world before I went on tour. So I was always appreciative of anywhere I'm at, and I was always, you know, respectful to any climate, any setting I'm in. But I will always just be appreciative, like when it comes to shooting in certain places, like overseas, because some places don't want you to film certain things, and especially if people see you with a camera, they're kind of like shy. But me, I'm just gonna reassure people anywhere I'm at, like, wow, like this is what we're shooting, this is what we're doing. Just be, you know, be thankful, because the other side of the world, they see Americans as different people. So I'm just gonna be like, hey, I'm just gonna appreciate this. Hey, my name is this, and this. Like, you know, don't be so boastful. Always be respectful, because this is not where you're from. This is not your home. So be respectful of these people's homes and stuff like that. So I was used to that growing up, because I've been to China. I've been shot my first documentary overseas in Sweden. So it's just about being able to be respectful to the people who see you from where you are, but you also have to be respectful to see them where they are. So yeah, I just like, you know, being able to be overseas and capture the beauty of the world. Like, that's what I love to do. And so for me, I've just been able to like really hone in on, you know, being respectful. That's the number one thing of everywhere. Be respectful of the nature, be respectful of the people, be respectful of the cultures. Like, that's how I move, and they appreciated me. So yeah, and I appreciate them. I'm thankful. How did you ensure the safety of yourself and your equipment while on the road with the music artist? So me, I keep everything organized while on tour. Like, the biggest thing for me while on tour was making sure that my equipment was light. Like, I didn't want to overpack. I always made sure that my stuff was organized, and that like to get what I needed while, you know, my luggage was in the back of the bus, but then the luggage that I had right then and there was easily accessible. And then even in my bunk, I had it so that like my equipment could be tucked away or hidden when I'm away from the bus, and making sure the bus is locked and stuff like that. But me being from St. Louis, I'm not gonna just have this big camera rig out everywhere. I'm gonna walk around, get some food, kind of see what the scenes are like and see what the area is like, make sure it's cool, make sure it's like nothing that would set off any alarms for me before I started filming, because I have like 3-4 different types of cameras. So either I have all my cameras with me or maybe 1 or 2. So I'm gonna make sure that like the area is what I feel comfortable with, bringing out a big cinema camera. And just make sure that, you know, anytime I travel anywhere, I'm gonna be respectful of where I'm at. So I'm gonna make sure that I know how to move where I'm at, because I'm from St. Louis. So I'm gonna just make sure I'm not like looking like, oh, this guy has all this stuff. Nah, I'm gonna make sure that any area I'm in is accessible for what I need, or is able to be accessed when it comes to like the cameras, the equipment, and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm gonna just make sure that everything is good for where I'm at before I bring out all my cameras. So what strategies did you use to build rapport with the music artists and their team while on tour? So pretty much I just reassured everybody was good. Like, you know, I maintained communication with all the managers, the artists, what they wanted to show, just different like people overall. Like, I maintained great communication with everyone about what was needed, what was going to be shot, what was done, because every city had some different type of objective for me to do. So I really wanted to make sure that I could get all those objectives. I would let them know what obstacles I was going through if I couldn't achieve something. So it's just about good communication with all people involved, because, you know, some cities have bigger publishing, bigger, you know, sponsors than others. So you would really want to make sure that you're capturing what people are needing for these brands to keep pushing the artists and stuff like that. So I would always make sure I stayed in great communication with the artists, as well as the managers and the people involved in production. So yeah. How did you balance documenting the tour for promotional purposes while respecting the artist's personal space? So really the biggest thing was what the managers wanted and what the artists wanted. So I always had to make sure that everybody's space was like I had to respect everybody's space, because knowing the artist before the concert or before the performance, they may be in a different mindset, and I give them that space until they say, yeah, you can come in and film, stuff like that. So everything I was doing was respectful to the artist space. While the managers are wanting one thing, I made sure that everybody is taken care of when it comes to like that type of ordeal. So it just got down to like, what can I do and facilitate and be respectful of everybody's space. I'm not with the camera in everybody's face. So I really want to make sure that everything is taken care of. And when it comes down to really getting the shots, I can kind of censor them. It's about being able to read the room when it comes to being around an artist and being on tour. So yeah, you got to make sure you can read the room like correctly before you drop anything, put out anything. So yeah. Can you share any tips for capturing authentic and candid moments during live performances on tour? So me personally, I never stop rolling, like ever. Like when I know that, you know, pre-production right before like a actual performance is happening, I try to see, oh, are we having a special guest? Are we doing a music video during this? What's happening? So I like to keep the camera rolling no matter what. Like if I'm within 15 feet of the artist before the performance, I'm rolling. You never know who's gonna pop up, who's gonna show love, especially in New York. Because New York, we couldn't film, but I made sure that I was rolling and doing some type of recording. So like you never know when those moments will hit, but you want to make sure that you're ready for that to happen. So, but during live performances, I know when the song is big, like it's gonna hit the crowd harder. So I do a lot of more energetic movements with the crowd while I'm filming. So I'll follow with the crowd. I'll be in the crowd. I'll do just, you know, GoPro stuff. Like I try to be as creative as possible because I know based on the crowd what they're requesting and stuff like that. So I really want to make sure that I can be in tune with the crowd and the artist in the middle of that transference and really be able to like capture the best moments possible. How did you manage the expectations of fans and the media while documenting the tour? So there was a lot of moments while on tour that the media wanted to use to help promote the actual like tours that are coming up to the city. So I made sure I took great photos, and the photos were used to promote upcoming shows while I was on tour. Like I would be in one city and they would use my photos for a city that we were going to 4 or 5 days later. So like I made sure I got as many photos as possible of the artist, or they would send me, you know, different, you know, aspects of what they wanted to help promote and push the show. So that was kind of like, I'm constantly working. I'm constantly in the mindset of how to capture something, how to film, how to roll things out. So me personally, I really wanted to like get as many people squared away as possible while I'm filming. So I'm always in the mindset of who am I pleasing? Who am I respecting the time of? Who am I like making sure that is okay when it comes down to the communication of what I'm doing. So I'm really the face of all this stuff when it comes to the images and the photos, like the photography and like the imagery when it comes to the videos. So I have to make sure that everybody is taken care of, but also the marketing of it and how the artist is shown. So yeah, that's about, you know, maintaining, you know, the expectations is just nonstop rolling and getting what people feel they want or is needed to help promote the shows coming up. What lessons did you learn about the music industry and tour life through your experience as a cinematographer and photographer? I would say personally, get everything in writing. When it comes to working with anybody from the music industry, get absolutely everything in writing. Like get everything in writing, like no matter what. If you're about to shoot a music video, get it in writing. If you're about to do photos for a music artist, get it in writing. So you really want to make sure you get everything in writing when it comes to working with anybody in the music industry, because he say, she say, if you don't have it in writing, it doesn't exist. If you don't have it in writing, it doesn't matter. Like you can be mad over payments or whatever, but if you don't have it in writing, it doesn't matter. Everything in writing matters. If it's written out, it's signed, it's understood. So get everything in writing when it comes to working with anybody from the music industry. Get it in writing. I promise you, you will never be wrong by getting something in writing. If it's not in writing, get it written down. I'm telling you, if you don't have it in writing, it doesn't matter. They can say something over the phone. They can say something 2 days later. That means you're confused. So if you don't get it in writing, it doesn't matter. I've gotten everything in writing because I know that I respect what I do, but you as an artist need to get everything in writing. How did you approach post-processing and editing to maintain consistency in visual style throughout the tour? So before going on tour, I studied a lot of people's visuals and what I wanted, but I wanted to create my own look for this artist because I've been working with this artist for almost 10 years up until that point. So I was like, yo, I need to really hone in on what this artist like, VHS style, you know, behind the scenes look, genuine and just off the cuff look. So that's what I maintained throughout the entirety of the tour, because their look was kind of like the VHS style, the, you know, different photos, and I helped create a part for this artist of their look, like fast photography mixed in with VHS, and that's what I was wanting to push more of. So I maintained that. I knew what I was going to do as VHS. I knew what camera I had specifically for a VHS look, which was also a filter too. But then I also knew that the GoPro would be good for the wide angle shots, and a lot of fast movements and just different transitions. And the cinema camera was more of like a good softening before the hecticness of what the visual was going to be. So really it just got down to like, yes, I want this, this, and this. Now let's go to this. So like there's a different tempo that you follow when you listen to the artist's music. So I followed the tempo of the music artist while also maintaining that visual style of the format that I created when it comes to the click, 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 click of the photos, but also the softness of the cinematography, but then the VHS style and all the other stuff too. So yeah, I just maintain a visual style by also setting a standard for the artists themselves. What unique perspectives did you gain from documenting the tour from behind the lens? So as an artist, documenting the tour really told me that I really love doing this. Like as a documentary filmmaker, I really love capturing life. I love capturing moments of people talking and like doing the fast zooms and knowing how to really maintain the room and read the room properly when it comes to not wanting to disturb the balance of the room. So being able to really understand different cultures from around the world, knowing what to film, knowing how to see life, that was one of the best parts to me about traveling overseas and actually doing things like seeing life, helping me see life, like seeing more of life in that way through a music industry standpoint really helped me open my eyes to doing more in life. So now it's about pushing that more, using all of the experience I have, going overseas and shooting more over there, which is what I plan to do. I really plan to shoot more overseas when it comes down to just capturing life. And yeah, just showing me what the music industry was, that was really the biggest thing for me. And I really appreciate my understanding of seeing the world, knowing that my way of seeing life is very beneficial. It's profitable overseas. So I definitely want to take my talents overseas soon and just see life how other people see it, but also use my perspective of where I'm from to see life elsewhere. So yeah. How did you contribute to creating a visual narrative for the music artist tour through your work? So my work, very cinematic, very beautiful. I love what I do. I make people look beautiful every day. So what I love doing was really about showing the realness of this artist, because I'm from St. Louis, the artist is from where I'm from. So really it's just about making sure you're able to push out the story of where they're from while also connecting it to where they're at. So being able to contribute to their visual narrative when it comes to like how they see life from being where we're from, but also understanding like we're from where we're from, and a lot of people from where we're from don't get this chance to be overseas. So me personally, being over there was one of like the coolest things ever, because it's like we don't get to do this where we're from. So now we're taking it in when it comes to just being able to understand how far we've worked, how much we've worked, how far we've come to really be in this situation. And I really want to make sure that that story is told, because we want to inspire more people to do this. So that's what I loved about doing that and helping that visual narrative of where we're from. How did you handle the fast-paced nature of tour life while ensuring the quality of your shots? Me, I'm locked in no matter what I'm doing. Like I stay locked in for everything I was doing. I'm on the go, on the cuff. Like I was pretty much the previous 10 years of what I did filmmaking wise led up to me doing this, because I'm always used to being in fast-paced movements and doing what I do, being on the go. Even before I did this tour, I did a 2-week tour shooting documentaries for D1 athletes. Like it was on the go so fast. And so knowing how to plan accordingly for shooting a tour was one of the best parts ever, because it's like I know how to plan, how to be, have a light set up, do what I gotta do, be on the go, like quick. So it was just about being able to know what my setup was previously before going into this, and knowing also how to handle those moments. Like I feel like I'm built for those high pressure moments, but like I'm always fast paced, I'm always ready to go. So if I'm not shooting, then I'm like chilling out or editing and organizing stuff. But I like being fast paced when it comes to the filmmaking standpoint, because my style is guerrilla filmmaking in a way. So it's just, you have to be able to adapt really fast. And I love being able to adapt to any environment because I know I'm learning. So yeah. What were the biggest differences in capturing still images versus video content on tour? So really, a lot of the video and photo mesh together, because shooting on a cinema camera, I can use those as photos, but I had a photography camera on my side. I'll be filming and using photos like right on the top. So like, it wasn't that bad, but like maintaining, you're tired at the end of the day, you're exhausted, but fighting through that, making sure you eat, but just maintaining like the styles, like knowing, oh, I'm using this, I'm doing this, like photos back and forth in video, one hand, photos the other hand. So like knowing what the artist wants, maintaining that, whether it's a light day or a heavy day. If it's a big city where we're doing 2 or 3 shows at a time, I can go probably heavy the first 2 days or first day, and then light because I know it's gonna be the exact same thing. So knowing what to focus on before going into it, you kind of have to do your own pre-production when it comes to like doing this type of content or this type of like fast-paced stuff, because some people have a photo camera and video built in, but I wanted to shoot on a cinema camera, which doesn't have great photos, but if you shoot raw, has some decent photography aspects you can pull out of, screen grabs. But knowing the style of photo that the artist likes with the high flash and like bouncing lights and reflective stuff, and then going off that, but also being creative, I had to have 2 cameras. So that's me doing 2 jobs, really like 3 jobs when I'm editing both at a different time pace. So it's just about having 2 brains working at the different time, like getting video, but also like knowing what to shoot. So yeah, that's about it. How did you collaborate with other creatives involved in the production of the tour? So me personally, anytime I was coming to a city, people reached out to me and I was like, yeah, cool, I'll get you a pass, come to the show, use some of their photos with their, of course, their, privilege, or I would use some of their photos with their actual permission. I don't know why I fucked it up, but I would use their photos with their permission. They wanted to do that. Like I'm thankful for the help, because I need all the help I can get, because I'm this cinematographer with a camera like that, and like I'm doing so much work. So it's just about being able to get out the images and connect with these people. So these people I connect with, I know them for my entire life now. Like I can go to any city and I can find a creative that I need to work with, like in any city. Thankful for this tour. So like this tour really helped me collaborate with artists all over the world, so that I can travel on my own now and just, collaborate with whoever I need to. So it's really just about being able to get things done, but then making sure things that I get done, I can build a team around in any city. So yeah. So can you share any insights on capturing the connection between the music artist and their audience during live performances? So some cities we had meet and greets, a lot of cities we had meet and greets. So in those meet and greets, you would find actual fans who had signs, who really had an emotional connection with the artist. So I would take a mental note of that person, whether they had a big sign or whatever, and I would capture them, whether they were front row, in the balcony or whatever, and I would get a perspective of them watching the show, so I can connect them with the artist, and maybe they, would really have a note for the artist, and I would help them relate, notes for the artist, saying thank you, stuff like that. So me as a creative, capturing those meet and greets helped me understand, like, okay, this fan is really connected to this artist. So I want to connect the visual of this artist and this person together so that I can get the right reactions from the crowd, and maybe they have all their friends with them or the family with them, so I can connect the family, the friends with the artist, and just see what that perspective is when it comes to that transference of that music and what that music does for that person in their life. So I would just take mental notes about everything and just make sure that I captured everything when it came to just being a part of that transference of people coming together. How did you approach documenting the moments off stage and behind the scenes during the tour? So off stage, behind the scenes, we were either out kicking it at restaurants, shooting music videos, or traveling or shopping or doing something like that. So I just stay with whatever I could be convenient with when it comes to just the moments of, just being outside with the artist, whether I'm shooting on my phone, small video camera, or GoPro. So like, I would make sure that I'm personally just comfortable myself, and I'm not just trying to be this big camera crew all the time. So you just kind of have to know what the comfortability is. Like, if we're going to a restaurant, I don't want to have this big camera and stuff like that. So it just gets down to like really making sure that I'm comfortable, everybody else is comfortable. I don't want to have this big camera everywhere. And it's really just about maintaining yourself. Like, you don't have to have the full setup when you're shooting, or like you're shooting during the concert and stuff like that, but you just want to be comfortable. So I would always make sure that I had at least 1 or 2 cameras on me so that we can get everything taken care of. So outside of, shooting the concert. What creative inspirations did you draw from while on tour with the music artist? So my dad's a photographer, and he really showed me a lot of inspirations from tours he's seen and different artists. Like, he was sending me different ideas of like, hey, do this, because he's really adamant about just, being creative and thinking outside the box and not doing the same thing over and over again. So me personally, as an artist, my dad was my biggest inspiration. And like, I've seen tours for like Beyonce, Drake. The Weeknd is one of my biggest influences when it comes to cinematography. So I did a lot of like very slow-mo shots, very like in people's face, and just getting the reactions, and whether it's 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second, like I really wanted to make sure that I captured the right takes for showing emotion, because music is all emotion. Music is going to bring out the emotions in as many people as it can touch and reach. So I wanted to make sure that I was there to get the right shots for the right people and showing the emotions. And, my dad and The Weeknd and like Beyonce, I see people I work with as big as those people. So I want to make sure that the people I work with are as big as those people when it comes to visual imagery. So, yeah. How did you manage the logistics of travel and accommodation while on tour as a cinematographer and photographer? So me, as a photographer, cinematographer, a lot of it was taken care of, but a lot of it comes down to like timing as well, because the artist has their own schedule, production has their own schedule, the band has their own schedule, the managers have their own schedule. So you really have to be understanding of whose schedule you're on that day, or you may have your own, but you want to make sure you eat, you take care of yourself. And a lot of those days I had to just get in an Uber by myself and go find the artist, or go find where we're rehearsing, and get Ubers with the people I'm on tour with to go to certain places. So a lot of it came down to just being on the fly and knowing how to move in certain places. So I was just able to accommodate myself, because I've traveled by myself a lot before this tour. So whether I got to get an Uber somewhere, or I'm just gonna walk and find the artist, if we're somewhere in Europe and I know they don't have transportation like Uber in these places overseas, so I'm just gonna walk and like, they're probably hungry, following my intuition, they somewhere near a food court or something like that. So it really just got down to doing what we needed when it came down to accommodating and just figuring things out. So knowing how to move in different countries and different states, I'm I'm accustomed to that. I know how to do that, but it's just about being able to know whose schedule you're on for that day. How did you maintain a balance between being present in the moment and focusing on capturing it through your lens? So when it comes to being in the moment, I'm never really in the moment when I'm behind the camera. Like, I'm personally in the camera, if that makes sense. Like, I can't really, take in the moment of what's happening because I'm so focused on making sure that this moment can be seen by millions and millions of people no matter what. So I have to be in the camera right then and there. So I don't really get a chance to take in the moment, but I'm capturing the moment forever. And sometimes I can feel the moment a little bit, but then that's when I feel like I'm out of it. Like, I have to focus in on making sure that this moment is the best moment to be captured. So a lot of it comes down to just, not being selfish, but being there to capture the moment, knowing you're there to capture the moment. And that's what it's all about as a cinematographer. That's something you give up when it comes to, this lifestyle. You're not always living the moment, but you're capturing the moment, and the moment lives forever through you. So you can relive it thousands and thousands of times, but you have to sometimes give up wanting to take in that moment. But also you have to be able to be humble enough to know you're there to capture it and not want to just, really be selfish and just, oh, this is my moment. No, it's the person who is living it. It's their moment, not yours, but you get to capture it, and that's a privilege too. Can you discuss the importance of storytelling through visuals in the context of a music tour? So music tours are so I see music tours as one big performance, one big music festival, because you're going really, I see music tours as one big documentary or one big movie, because you have 50 cities or 16 countries or whatever, and you have all these locations, and you have to maintain the perspective of a person from each city. So you put out one movie and you put it out in 50 cities or whatever, 25 countries. You have to be able to appeal to everybody in those cities, those countries, wherever this movie is being put out at. So really, it comes down to being able to have a perspective of greatness, have a perspective of beauty, knowing that beauty comes first in a lot of things that you do. Well, for me personally, cinematography, I just want to make everything look beautiful. So I want to make every place I'm in for this music tour look beautiful. I want to show it how people from this place have never seen it before. So a lot of it comes down to making things, being outside of yourself, not being selfish, always wanting to make sure that, yes, I made Austin look beautiful. Yes, I made Colorado look beautiful. I made Florida look beautiful. I made different parts of New York look beautiful, or Connecticut look beautiful. So it's all about maintaining what the artist is doing in the city as beautiful, but also maintaining how the people in the city see their city and how I can make it look beautiful. So everybody wants to be seen in the best light possible, and so it's your job as a cinematographer and photographer to really help them see themselves. So how did you handle unexpected changes in the tour schedule, and how did it impact your shooting plans? So this tour is not about you. It's about the artists, the band, the managers, the labels. It's not about you. So me having unexpected schedule changes, that's nothing to do with me. I'm just there to capture the essence and the beauty of what's going on. So when it comes down to showing the light of what's going on, I have to be as adaptive, as open-minded as possible. It's like you're a fly on the wall, but you do matter. But me, when it comes down to schedule changes, you just have to roll with it, because you're there to do a job, and that's what I felt. I'm just here to do a job, and so I'm on their schedule. I'm on the schedules of every different person involved. So I'm just here to capture the moment, help this moment live forever. So when it comes down to the schedule changes and if I gotta get a video out within 2 or 3 hours, then I'm gonna get a video out within 2 or 3 hours. So really, it's just about being able to be flexible. With a tour, you have to be as flexible as you humanly possibly can, no matter what. And so for 75 days straight, I was as flexible when it comes to my schedule, shooting styles, and editing. Like, you just have to think on the fly and be able to think on the fly, because an entire tour is what it means to be able to be on the fly, be flexible. You have to be flexible to become a cinematographer or photographer, because everything will change at a moment's notice. So yeah, that's just what it is. What were the biggest technical challenges you faced while shooting on tour with the music artist? The biggest technical challenge I faced while being on tour was electricity, charging things, like knowing where to charge things, how to charge things, charging things while I'm editing, finding hard drives in different cities. Being resourceful is the biggest thing. Like, buying a hot strip or a power strip and plug it into a wall. You can plug up stuff overnight, make sure things are charged. Like, understanding before going into a tour how to plan for a tour. Like, tours really are pretty much living on a bus for 75 days at a time, and you're around 12 people. So it's like living in, a small house or a dormitory with 12 people. So you have to be able to be considerate of, everybody has to charge their phone, and space is a big thing too. So you have to be considerate of everybody's space and what you're doing in that space too. So me just trying to charge stuff up was probably the biggest technical challenge, I feel. But when it comes down to getting things secured, that's when you have to be very organized and know where your cameras are, know where this is at, and just keep up a good system of organization. And that's what will help you establish a good, stride when it comes to doing your job on tour. How did you ensure the consistency of your visual style across different venues and performances? So pretty much, as soon as we get to a city, whether we're parking the bus at the hotel or at the venue, I'm gonna scope out the location, the venue, and what are the rules. So I just wanna make sure that I can be as creative as possible. Looking at where I can put a GoPro at, just maintaining where everything can be done. And so knowing your strengths is easy, so that you can know what the creativity can come from those constraints, or how you can get around it. So some places won't let you film, but you can use a camera phone or stuff like that. When it comes down to really getting your vision out, you have to know what you can do, the limits of what you can do, or you can just go about it I'm gonna make this work no matter what. So when it comes to the visual consistency of me, I just go for everything until somebody says stop or you can't do this. So yeah, that's just what I did. Can you share any tips for capturing emotions and energy in live performance photography? I say the best thing to do is to know the songs, know what this artist does, and know how to really be a part of the show. How to see the show from the audience standpoint is more important, because how this artist wants to be seen and what they don't want to be shown, or whether they don't want to be shown in this type of light. So it really gets down to following the energy of the crowd and following the energy of the artist at the same time. And if they are going to do a backflip on stage, know what part of the song they're going to do that. Set up your camera before then if that's a dedicated shot that you want. So being able to know your venue, what the lighting is going to be like, talking with the lighting people, talking with anybody involved in stage and stuff like that. So always be open to talking to people. You have to talk to people to get things done in any type of production. So I would just say, if you know the songs, the artists, prepare for what they're going to do at some part of the song, or just recommend that to the artist if you're that comfortable with the artist. So really just be a part of learning, nonstop learning all the shows, and you'll be good. How did you choose which moments to capture and which to let unfold without interference during the tour? Like the moments I captured, I always knew like I wanted to tell a story. Like I knew throughout this entire, tour that I wanted to help tell the story of this artist. So being a documentary filmmaker, I was able to see what the artist was doing throughout the tour and just be a part of every moment. So I would always ask like, yo, can I film this? Are you cool with me filming this? And they would say yes or no. So me just knowing what to show and being one of those like ambassadors for the voice of the artist, like that's what I saw myself as when it comes to being a cinematographer and photographer. So I would always make sure that any moments that like were serious, I'll film those. And they say, yeah, keep filming, never stop filming, because this is what really is going on, or this is what this is about. These are the hard-hitting moments that people want to see when it comes to putting together a project. So for me, it's about getting things done, but also telling a story so that I can really push out the best story possible for the artist. So yeah, it's just about getting things done, but making sure that everything is done tastefully for the artist. What were the highlights of your experience as a cinematographer / photographer on tour with the music artist? So my highlights, I would say, would just be seeing and meeting so many people, because before the tour, people knew me all over the world because I would just show the best parts of the world through drones, any type of cinematography. I would just travel and take road trips and make these places all over the world look beautiful. I did car commercials. And so like meeting people that have seen my work before this tour and them helping me out while, shooting certain shows, and people, creating, gifts for the artist, but also creating things for me too. So it was like I was able to really help as many people be seen. And just by talking with them like, yo, this is who I am. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And talking with them, having those conversations with them to really say like, yo, this is possible. Anything you want to do in life is possible because I'm doing it. I've manifested this. I prayed for this. God has put me in a position to really do this. So it's just about being able to reach as many people as possible. Even overseas, people overseas knew who I was. So now I'm able to go anywhere in the world and create a creative team with the people I've met in any city that I've been to already. And now I really can focus on the people who are around me and close to me and help them reach people anywhere in the world too. So I want to continue to work and create with people all over the world so that we can really create this creative network of just people doing things and becoming who they want to be. And so I feel like that's my purpose and also my passion. How did you prioritize self-care and well-being while balancing the demands of tour life and creative work? So, I had a few run-ins with me being in a hospital while on tour, but like, it's just about understanding your mentality, being away from home for 75 days straight, different cities, different climates, going through different altitudes. Some days you wake up, your entire leg is numb, or you're just in pain because, the temperatures are changing rapidly. You go from like 15 degrees one day to 80 degrees the next day. You have to understand, you got to stay hydrated. Staying hydrated is the most important part of being on tour. You got to know how to eat when you can, like even buy snacks when you can, because you always got to have something on you when it comes to like hydration, and you never know when you're going to get food. Some venues don't have food for you, some do. Some places don't have food that you're used to where you're from. So you really have to be able to have the discipline to go out and feed yourself and be able to take care of yourself, because if you can't do your job, then you can't do the rest of the tour. And if you're sick and you're messed up when it comes to your health, then you really can't do this job and you can be replaced. So you really want to make sure that you're taking your vitamins, you're staying healthy, you're drinking a lot of water, you're eating as much as possible, and just take care of yourself, because that's what's important. So I feel like more people should just be able to just take care of themselves and eat as much as you can when you're on the road, because foods change based on city to city. So it's all about putting yourself first when it comes to feeding yourself, hydrating yourself. Make sure you take that time out to do it. If you got 5 minutes or 10 minutes, those 5 or 10 minutes will go by quick, but you have to make sure you're taking care of yourself to really be able to continue to do what you love. What strategies did you use to stay inspired and motivated throughout tour? So what the strategies I used to stay motivated throughout the tour were just like, okay, how can I change this? How can I do this? How can I do this part or capture this? Because every day there's a different climate we're in, and I would do some research on the city and like, they got this canal in the middle of the city. We should shoot a music video here. I was always wanting to push the artists to do different music videos in different cities. I was like, you should do a freestyle in every city we go to, or you should do a music video in a lot of these cities. Like, we should just press record and replay a song, do a freestyle, and then we'll shoot it in 5-6 different cities and just have it like that. So like, I always was wanting to push the artists to do more when it comes to the visual content, like more music videos, just freestyles. And we got out a few, but I want to do a lot more because we have so many music videos in the cut ready to go. But it's just like, are those songs ready? Does the song match up with how the artist wants to put out for the next project and stuff like that? So me personally, I just want to make sure that like we got a lot done, but we have a lot of bases covered when it comes to just putting out videos, shooting overseas, shooting music videos overseas. There's a lot we could have put out, but now I'm just like, all right, cool, we're ready whenever we're able to get things done. So yeah. How did you document the interactions and relationships between the music artists and their team while on tour? So anytime we went out to like a dinner, a sponsored dinner, went out to like mini golf or whatever we did, shopping or whatever, I always wanted to make sure I had at least one camera going and I'm rolling while we're out in Milan, Italy, doing whatever. I want to make sure that I was able to show how the team was able to get along, of course, when it comes to just how we operate outside of working. So a lot of it just came down to like just capturing those moments. Like, I'm a part of those moments too because I'm also a part of the team, but I want to make sure that I'm capturing everybody because not everybody has been overseas. So I want to make sure we're capturing this first time moment for a lot of people. So a lot of it just came down to just being in those types of moments while with other people and making sure that I capture those, but not being too deep in the moment so that I don't capture it, but also knowing that my purpose and my passion is to capture and tell stories. So I have to be a part of those moments as much as possible when it comes to really relaying the story of what is happening on this tour. Looking back, what do you consider the most valuable lessons you learned from your experience on tour with the music artist? I would say get everything in writing. That's the most important thing, but also understanding that the music industry is a business first. But when you're working with so many different teams and you're working in so many different climates, things will change from venue to venue. Some venues have some rules, some venues have other rules. Always be able to be respectful to the people you're working with, no matter what, from the sound team to the lighting team to the band, the artists, and also like the managers too. So always be considerate of people's time, be thankful, be appreciative of when you're asking them to help you do something. Always be appreciative, but also maintain your respectability in all these different cities and states, which I respect everybody no matter where I'm at. So you never know how people will approach you and things of that nature. We had some run-ins with, some people in Milan, Italy, and just like what we were doing, but it just got down to like, there's a lot of misunderstandings. So communication is the biggest thing. But you really have to be able to like know where you're at, be able to read a room. So that's the biggest thing, because you're in so many rooms with so many different people, thousands of people, whether it's 1,500 to 2,500 people every other day. So you have to know where you're at, how to protect what you're doing, be safe, protect your equipment, protect the people you're around, look out for the people that are around you too. And so when it comes down to like really getting things done, you have to be on your P's and cues when it comes to traveling abroad, because you will meet so many different people, so many different mentalities, to the point where it's like, okay, you have to be careful. You have to know where you're at. Some people aren't from where you're from, so they don't have the same understanding of respect, same understanding of finances, money, and just how to operate in life. So you have to know to respect people, to also, you know, be business oriented and get everything in writing, but also keep things where they're at when it comes to like dealing with people. So when you deal with so many different types of people, you have to be able to respect them and know that like you're on their time, you're in their space. So it just gets down to really understanding everybody, knowing how to read everybody's, you know, everybody has their own room. Read the room for those each individual people, but you know, knowing where you're at, you gotta maintain your composure. And every day while being on tour within a bus of 14 or 15 people, there may be conflicts. There may be some people woke up with a different mentality than the other 10, 15 people did, but you have to maintain like, yes, I'll help you out, I'll help you out, I'll help you go through this, I'll help you do this. Like, just be respectful. That's it. Like, maintain what you want to do with people coming in your space and you being in their space. So know how to share space with people and just take all that space in, take all the knowledge in that people are giving you on how to move and stuff like that. And yeah, have a great time, but also be considerate and respectful when moving abroad in different countries, because some countries, some people's attitudes are different, but you want to make sure that you have respect for everybody around you. So yeah.